I'm going to talk about making sense and figuring out how we can augment our ability to process information. Or a slightly spicier title could be let's build an exocortex and fight the AGI. So who am I? I worked at Protocol Labs for a long time, built a few things there that I had a lot of fun building. And I care a lot about having data and figuring out how to use lots of data. And that's kind of just been what I've been up to. And now that all that exists, I'm really excited about the idea of exocortexes. And for those who aren't familiar, the idea of an exocortex is like an external information processing to kind of augment your own cognition and effectively offload, some of the ways that you think and, become smarter, become better. Why do we want this? Well, kind of the biggest reason is the rise of AGI is very likely to disempower all of us. Basically, AGI are going to outcompete us as we currently exist, and we need to keep up. Plus, who doesn't want to be smarter? Seems kind of, if you could, why not? So really, concretely, what does an exocortex look like? The first thing is kind of an interface between your brain and a computer or some other processing system. We have all sorts of these, and new exciting ones are being touted that are coming soon. And the other piece of the puzzle is good software, which does not really exist yet in a lot of ways. There's a lot of attempts, but good software needs to exist. So in terms of BCI, we have had a lot for a long time and are getting more and more. We're increasing the bandwidth, we're decreasing the latency. We started off with some very basic BCIs back in the 70s that did help. They did augment our intelligence. They did improve things, and we're just rapidly increasing and moving forward. And my claim is that this is honestly good enough. A smartphone and some headphones, or realistically, the set of tooling that we have today, regardless of what's coming in the future, is good enough to make huge impact in our own intelligence. You have a device that's more powerful than every computer that existed before even 2005, honestly. If you have a modern iPhone, I think it's more powerful than any computer in the early 2000s, which is really crazy, honestly. So really what this comes down to is software systems being the bottleneck to augmenting our cognition. And so the whole point of me giving this little lightning talk is to try and motivate people to think about what software systems can we build to actually augment our cognition and kind of break that down into a few pieces. So software can currently approximate most things your brain can do, memory, perception, thinking, decision-making, problem solving, kind of have analogs in the forms of things that computers can do roughly. We can access data, we can search through data, we can figure out how to summarize and make sense of the data, and then we can use the data to solve problems. And the computers can kind of do these things. In terms of the data access portion, you have a huge amount of different data sources and things to access, all your emails, texts, and tweets, all the things you've read, things you want to read. There's libraries of books available online, there's Wikipedia, there's all this news and articles and social media and whatnot. You have huge amounts of data, and that access is it's way more information than you can currently deal with at all. You have no way of actually keeping up with the massive amounts of stuff you have. And also, even if you could, there's currently no good way of accessing it reliably and across any sort of a similar interface. Each of these things has very different ways of getting to it. How do you search your text? How do you search your emails? How do you search your tweets? How do you even go read an old text? Good luck, you can scroll back for years. Your finger's gonna break. So those systems obviously need improvement. The next bit is search. How do you find what you're looking for? This one actually I feel pretty good about because we both have robust traditional search systems like Elasticsearch and similar software stacks. And then we also have a lot of fun new tools like embeddings and very efficient nearest neighbor searches over embeddings. And for those who aren't familiar, embeddings are this cool machine learning thing that allows you to take words or really any piece of data and compute a semantic meaning for it that's represented by a list of numbers. And those lists of numbers represent a point in space. and other points in space that are near it are actually mean similar things. And so you can compute all these little points for any piece of information, and you can search whatever's nearest in the mathematical space is actually nearest in conceptual space, which allows you to do like actually really efficient search over meanings of things. And this is like, Google actually started using this in some of their search through BERT, but I think it's like almost criminally underexplored in a lot of contexts. The next bit is where it gets harder. You have the data, you've found the data. How do you actually understand what it is? What do you do with it? How do you know it's correct? Do you read every paper that gets published? Do you like read every blog post? No, you don't. Don't lie. And most people just skim things, and most people miss things when they skim things. And we really need better tools for like all of the things that go into like taking a look at a piece of information and knowing, is it correct? What are the important key points? And like kind of like dissolving it into your brain. That process, like, we just need better software for. And it seems like there's a lot of different things that can help here. Like a lot of the new language model stuff that's coming out, like you can ask GPT-3 to summarize things for you, which is really cool. I think that doesn't even go far enough. I think there's a lot more we can do in that direction and other directions to like aid in comprehension of the information that's around you. And the little final bit is like inference. So you've dissolved the information into your brain. You have the relevant pieces. What do you do with that? How do you make new connections? How do you solve problems? Like you presumably want to do a thing. You have goals. How do you achieve your goals with the information that you know? And how can we make that faster? How can we improve using computer tooling and some magical algorithms and software, make our ability to do problem solving faster, like the actual thing of turning the information we have into new insights faster. And I don't really know any software that tries to tackle this problem yet. And I mean, that's it. That's kind of like a seed for later discussions. I'd love anybody who's interested in this to let's have some discussions about it. And thanks.
Okay, we have a question.
What are your thoughts around security exploitations of cortex that can make an individual much more readily accessible for them?
Scary. That's why the security stuff we're talking about is important. Real bad.
Yeah, so I kind of already have like a little bit of an exocortex in the sense of like my friends. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've noticed with a lot of sort of augmented cognition or build a second brain type things is that there's always this idea of like, oh, well, this is my extended brain. But actually, just myself, my own brain is also intertwined with the people who I collaborate with. What is the model for sort of peer-to-peer interaction?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff here. I think especially on like the inference portion of, if you have a good map of what your peers and people around you know and are experts in, I think you can make automated systems that allow you to like figure out which questions to ask to people, or rather like kind of automate the process of using your social network as a way of making progress on these problems. Also, I think like shared data sets, like the things your friends keep as part of their data is likely to be a good source for you to also want to have as data. Like it adds some signal to the noise of all the craziness that's out there. So I think there's a lot in that direction.
Thank you so much, Vi. That was wonderful.